All right. Well, welcome to Neighboring 101. This is the monthly program with University of Missouri Extension, where we talk to neighboring leaders from all over the country, looking at ways that we can incorporate the ideas of neighboring to improve our communities and ourselves as individuals. Neighboring 101 isn't just for the new homeowner or new apartment uh, renter or anything like that. It's for people that are interested in improving their neighborhoods and where they live, no matter the setting. So, thank you to those that are here today. We've had to shift a little bit today, a change in our speaker lineup. But for those that are here, we're going to kind of do an idea sharing session, uh, sharing people's bright ideas, as we like to call them. The best of the best and what you're doing in the field, or maybe what you're learning about neighboring and neighborhoods. So I always say I love to learn something new every day, and oftentimes you learn those things from other people that are in the trenches and doing the good work. And so this may be your opportunity, since it's a small group today, to share what you're doing and share out with us. Uh, so back in the old days, right, 5 years ago when this program first started, um, I usually opened every session with a little bit of research and new information that was available. And uh, I thought I'd kick this one off the same way because I just saw today a new research study that has come out from the Pew Research Center. Uh, I think it came out last week, and they are looking at the relationships between neighbors and Americans in America in terms of trust. And in reading over that study, I thought there was some relevant pieces to bring out to this group. One, the the study indicates that only 26% of U.S. adults know all or most of their neighbors. That's a decline from 31% in 2018, the last time Pew Research did a study on this topic. Um, And similarly, 44% of Americans express trust in all or most of their neighbors, which is down from 52% in 2015. So this trend would suggest maybe a gradual erosion of close-knit community bonds over the past decade. That's not the way we want to see those numbers moving. Pew also notes in their study there is um, some disparities in terms of demographics. Certain demographics exhibit stronger neighborhood connections. In their study, they found older adults, white Americans, individuals with higher incomes, and residents of rural or suburban areas are more likely to know and trust their neighbors. And they also found that regular attendance at in-person religious services also correlates with increased neighborly trust and familiarity. Again, this is from the recently released Pew Research Study looking at neighbors and trust levels. Um, Similarly, perceptions among neighbors play a significant role in trust levels. About 50% of Americans, adults, feel that their neighbors share their race or ethnicity. 38% perceives that they have similar educational backgrounds. 23% believe their neighbors hold comparable political views. And these perceived commonalities are linked to higher levels of trust and a greater willingness to engage in mutual assistance, at least according to this Pew Research study. A few other things worth mentioning, takeaways from their new study. Um, while many Americans are inclined to assist their neighbors, they are less confident that the sentiment will be reciprocated. Found that interesting. For instance, 76% of Americans say they would bring in the mail or water the plants for an out-of-town neighbor, but only 52% believe their neighbors would do the same for them. Interesting disconnection there, right? And 67% would provide a meal to a sick neighbor, yet only 42% of those expect to receive the same type of help in return. So there's certainly a disconnection, a difference between willingness to help and our expectations about whether our neighbors would do the same for us. Interestingly, most Americans trust their immediate neighbors. Um, they trust their immediate neighbors more than they trust the general public. That's the takeaway. Um, while 44% trust all or most of their neighbors, only 34% believe that most people can be trusted. So this certainly suggests that proximity can play a role in fostering trust and broadening those social connections, which is a lot of what we talk about here, the importance of building those neighbor connections because of proximity helping to build trust. So certainly this new survey has some uh, implications for community building. The study highlights the importance of fostering neighborhood connections to strengthen community bonds, also engaging in local events, participating in community organizations, initiating conversations with neighbors. Those things can all help bridge the trust gap and rebuild social fabric at the neighborhood level. I'll put a link to that study in the chat and as others are sharing. Again, a reminder, our guest speaker had to cancel here early this morning before we could get started, but glad to have uh, 16 hearty souls on today and really would love to open the floor to hear about what you're doing in the neighboring space, maybe some of what you're seeing around you in terms of interest level, or maybe some interesting projects that you've been involved in and would like to share about. Please, the floor is yours. Take yourself off mute, turn your camera on, give a share.
Well, I can, first of all, hi, chat. Hi, David.
Hello. Hi,
Hello,
Eric.
everyone. Eric Smith with Community Works. We've been, one thing that we've been interested in is we've been working with Dr. Amy Thurber with the Neighborhood Story Project. And it's kind of based on participatory action research methodologies, but specific to neighborhoods. And so over the course of 12 meetings, you go out, you can gather neighbors, and over the course of 12 meetings, you do a lot of research on the history of the neighborhood or connect with residents and those kinds of things. And then you do a project at the end on like week 13 or 14, which, and so, we've been digging into that methodology, and it's been really, really, really fun to watch and see happen evolve. We actually have a training coming up in Michigan. If anybody's going to be in Michigan, that'll be in June. But yeah, that's one thing we're doing is that how do you anchor future change on what we know about the neighborhood and what we can appreciate about our past, both the warts and the and the beautiful things. But so that's what we're exploring right now.
Yeah. Eric, have you worked that individual before? Have you used this methodology and approach before? Or is it new to you at Community Works?
No, this particular methodology would be new to us. We had done some research. She's done a lot of really fascinating work in Tennessee, especially. Um, so now we've used participatory action research kind of framing before, but this will be the first time with this particular slant, this particular person.
I love that idea. Even telling the historical stories of your neighborhood. I like history, so that's why I gravitate that way. But
Yeah,
that would be a fun thing to do and a great way to get to know your neighbors in the process.
exactly. Yep.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And for those of you who don't know Eric, he leads something known as Community Works. Eric, if you want to drop your uh, URL or something in chat, please do, especially if you're in that Great Lakes area. You need to know Eric and Megan at Community Works and the great work they're doing.
I'm going to build off what Eric said. Hi, Chet Ridenauer. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. I've worked with Eric and Megan, long time participant. I think I'm going for David's class attendance record. But a lot of
Give that
great
man a prize, David.
a lot of great stuff coming out of Community Works. And maybe Eric, I'll throw it back to you, but they've gotten a community building hub resource off the ground, and they've got I'm going through their 6 weeks training modules for their neighborhood connectors. But Eric, maybe you want to maybe chat more about that, or if there's a link in there you want to throw in the chat.
Yeah, I can do that, definitely. Yeah, so we've and unfortunately Megan couldn't be here, who's kind of like the lead on this. So Megan on staff, she's built kind of a online environment, a platform, so we can connect as in between the wonderful, amazing sessions that David does, that other thought leaders in this space do, but just a place we can connect and interact, as we have time, and jump in and ask questions and share stories and those kinds of things, share resources. So yeah, I can add that to that. So for our investment and getting the software and building the app and all that sort of thing, so we offer a couple months free, so you can check it out, experiment. There's a small monthly subscription just so we can keep this up afterwards, just to be transparent about that. So you can just check it out, see if it's worth adding enough value to you. But yeah, we're building that environment to try to keep building this movement nationally.
And Eric, did you say that you have an app that goes with that now too?
Yeah, yeah. So you can do it on your phone just as you're available. And then we have people on, like we had Jay this week. He's been in this 30 years, and so you can go in, you can do a check-in, and do the webinar with people. That was just a 45 minutes, half an hour check in with an expert, ask questions, hear what people are doing. So we have those kinds of opportunities throughout as well. So yeah.
That I didn't realize you had an app feature that came with it, so that's a tremendous resource. There must be something in the air this past week then. I'll add to the chat here a link to Richard out in Washington. It's a app that they have just gotten off the ground about connecting people together for dinners with strangers. And he had reached out. It's something new that they're working on. And then another one headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, called Amigo Life. And it's a new app that they're beta testing, designed to, as the founder says, get people off their couch and outdoors doing things with other people. And I'll put a link to that. So there must be something in the air here, apps and neighbors and connectivity. And so that's pretty awesome to see those all coming to life.
I love it. Another call out for Community Works. Eric is coming to Columbus with to do an asset-based community development, like 101 training for our Department of Neighborhoods. So they're interested in learning more about the basics of how their neighborhood liaisons and some of their program coordinators and staff could incorporate some of these strategies into how they engage with the community, how they deliver services, to catalyze and activate more of those underutilized resources in our communities. I had the opportunity to join them for a training in Michigan City, Indiana, and was so impressed with it. I pitched it to our Department of Neighborhoods here in Columbus, and they're looking forward to that training here in about a month. So kudos to Eric and his team. Eric, if you have any links to that info, or an email, whatever you want to throw in there, looks like yeah, that's been a great resource.
Tremendous.
Yeah, and Chet, of course, you're the star in all those stories, so we just appreciate you. We're just here to support. We're here to support Chet and anybody else, but yeah. yeah, as-based community development is a real passion of ours. So happy to bring that wherever and however. Yeah, on our website, you can go and you can see some of we do offer workshops and those kinds of things we can bring out to wherever. We'll be doing some of this online. And also, I mean, you know, someone like Chad, if you really have a passion for this and you want to see it multiplying across multiple neighborhoods, we can train you as a trainer so that you can use the hub as an environment where it's got preloaded educational opportunities if you want to onboard neighbors into this way of doing things. And then you can get trained in the ABC as-based community development methodology as a trainer. So then you can also, do workshops and things with prefabricated materials and things to cut down your time investing in building it out. So,
But how exciting to see this idea and this sphere of work growing. I mean, what, Eric, we connected 5 years ago, probably, right? And I remember our first talk on Zoom and just the surprise that there was someone else connected with Extension that was interested in neighboring,
yes.
And now I see that bubbling up as well. But just the growing connectivity and people interested in this type of work. So that's encouraging. Great to see. How about some others that are on today? What are you working on, interested in, or seeing going on around you related to neighbors and neighborhoods? Feel free to jump in, or I'm going to start calling names. Amy, you want to jump on and share with us what you shared in chat? Amy may not have. There's Amy. Hope she's running and getting a microphone. As she's getting her microphone set up, I'll just read what the chat is then for those watching the video. Um, Amy says she volunteers for a nonprofit started by 3 people during COVID. It's really helped people get to know each other better in the areas where they live. The focus is on intergenerational wellness programs. It's really taken off. Some examples of programs include gardening activities and educational sessions, pairs of older adults in the same neighborhood with students from local universities. Well, that's great. Exercise sessions with older adults and students that take place at local libraries. So they also have activities for residents who are in long-term care facilities, interactive youth music sessions, also open mic sessions. How fun. That sounds, the intergenerational aspect of that is really great. There seems to be a renewed interest in that type of thing. Yeah, while Amy's getting her microphone, Nancy, you want to give a little report on SGF kickball from Sunday?
Sure. So some of you have heard about the SGF kickball tournament. It's a once a year tournament that the idea was floated in 2018. Springfield has 24 registered neighborhoods with the city, and 2 of those neighborhoods started trash talking each other on Facebook. Our kids are smarter than your kids, we have better trees, anything was game. So obviously these people were friends, but they started doing that and it turned into a kickball tournament. And so in 2019 was the first annual tournament, and we had 4 neighborhoods for that first year. And it grew from there, except that the winner of 2020 and 2021 was COVID. Unfortunately, Parks Department would not let us gather people together for a kickball tournament. But it grew the next couple of years. This past Sunday, after 1 week rescheduling for rain date, we had our tournament. Pretty nice day. We had 10 teams. And one of those teams was cobbled together from 3 neighborhoods. So it's quite an experience. David stopped by for a little while. People may pre-register with a coach. They may just show up, and that's where teams get cobbled together. The rules are that you have to have at least 5 of the team members, 10 or 11 team members, be between the ages of 8 and 13. So after the first year, when a smaller person got bowled over by a kickball in the very first play of the tournament, everybody, it was actually commended at the end that everybody was very gentle and very kind for this tournament. But we had 4 fields going at once. We had double elimination. So a lot of games were played. It took from 1 to 5 almost to play the games. We had raffle prizes at the end to get folks to stick around. And we had a playoff between the top 2 teams, and then a 3rd place consolation prize. Not consolation, 3 out of 10 teams is pretty good. The awards are homemade. They all involve some kind of shoe for kicking, and they're not very attractive. The 3rd place award this year was new. Actually, both 2nd and 3rd were new awards. And the 3rd place was called the IDA. And that means I'd have won if I'd had different players or more practice time or whatever that 3rd place coach wanted to come up with. The first prize that we've always had is the Bobby, and the Bobby is an athletic shoe from the older person that was one of the trash talkers in 2018. And the 2nd place is a pair of shoes called the Kiki. And Kiki is on our SGF kickball banner as the mascot, kind of. It's one of those outlines that you can just barely interpret as being a female rather than a male kicking a kickball. So it's been a lot of fun. It's always kind of not worrisome, but it's always kind of let's see what happens and see who comes and see how this thing turns out. It always takes on a life of its own.
Well, it's a playful, fun event, and Park said they had about 300 people come through the turnstile for it. So I'd call that a success, and a great way to gather neighborhoods together in a fun way. And then at least one neighborhood gets to have bragging rights all year. Was who ended up winning that final game? Was it one of the ones that was cobbled, had several neighborhoods together?
No, the one that was cobbled together actually played 2 games and lost each game by 1 point. The first of those games was lost in a tiebreaker inning. So 3rd place was West Central neighborhood. 2nd place was Roundtree, who won it the very, very first year. And we let people besides neighborhoods play. And so the 1st place was Resurrection Church, which is actually located in the West Central neighborhood. So
and they're actually the meeting location for the West Central neighborhood too.
Yes. Mercy
Health
System had a team in place. I can't think of any other non-neighborhood teams, but so yeah, Resurrection Church and Mercy, and then so that would be 10, so about 12 other neighborhoods were involved.
All right, that's great. We'll get to learn a little more about that because they're actually one of the finalists for the Neighborhoods USA conference coming up. So I know Amy has logged off and logged back on, but still may not have a microphone working.
Actually,
or perhaps she does. She does.
Yeah, I do now. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. If you want me to talk a little bit more about the nonprofit, I can.
Yeah, please. Let's tell us more about that intergenerational work that's going on. Yeah.
Yes, it's wonderful. As I said in the chat, it was started just by 3 individuals on their own in the middle of COVID. All 3 just had an interest in doing programming that involved different age groups. I mean, particularly older adults and either youth or young adults, but it's really for any, all ages, all generations. And one of the things you saw in the chat, and David, you'd read this off, but one of the program is for gardening activities and education sessions. So it's called Buds and Blooms, and this is for people. Yeah, it's they provide education sessions, but then also traditional education settings, sessions in like a classroom setting. But they also have education sessions at different gardens. So older adults are provided with materials so they can actually create like an education gardening in their own yard. And the youth come and get education sessions at these older adults' houses in these neighborhoods. So, and then they have a master gardener often come and provide an education session, and then the youth can take a look at the plants and sometimes do some tasting again at these residences, gardens that they have at their homes. So it's a way for people to kind of give back to the youth. Youth can learn from the people who are, providing these gardening. And again, we have, master gardeners. Usually there's one at each location, and that usually a master gardener does the separate education sessions also in traditional, like more of a classroom setting. But I like the fact that they've got, real world, education settings and then more traditional ones combined for these two different age groups, kind of learn from each other. So that's one. I mean, that's just one of many things they're doing, and they're trying to create more programs, even in addition to the exercise sessions, these gardening programs, the music sessions, the open mic sessions. They want to even start creating more. And it's nice because more students are now finding out about this nonprofit, so students can get credit from their schools to create more of a long-term, consistency with people being able to make bigger time commitments.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great example. And I love to hear that master gardeners are involved. That's a extension related program. I'm not sure which state you said you were in,
Oh,
Amy.
Ohio. Yes.
Ohio. So
Yeah.
uh, Ohio State, I believe, is a land grant university there. So the master gardeners are part of that extension program. That's a great connection, great use.
Absolutely.
But I love the intergenerational parts. I'll be honest, I learned a lot at the side of my grandfather, from auto mechanics to basic repair, and older adults are often have a lot more patience and
Yes, exactly.
and
Exactly.
let you make mistakes and things. So I, you know, just from my own experience, know how valuable that is. So I can see why you're excited about that
Yeah,
project and
absolutely.
effort.
And
And
it's nice because as the older adults coming in to do the gardening, then they meet each other, they may not have known before, right? The other residents come together and they say, oh, I'm also doing this, and I live in the same kind of neighborhood community area. They try to do it according to neighborhood, it's more neighborhood based. So that's nice. They can get to know, even if it's not their immediate neighbor, they can get to know someone in that neighborhood. So that works out well.
yeah, and that has could have applications for all of us in neighborhoods looking for those opportunities to pair older adults with younger kids in the neighborhood even.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thanks for sharing that and leading the way on that.
Can I ask where in Ohio?
Columbus.
Oh, okay.
OH.
Yeah, exactly. OHIO.
Amy,
I've
I'm
moved
in
around a lot, but I did grow up here, so I'm back here for the time being. Yeah. So.
Amy, I'm in Columbus in the short north as well.
Oh, is that where you're? Okay. Yeah, I knew you were in Columbus. I didn't know where exactly. So yeah,
What
that's
neighborhood are
great.
you in?
Probably very different. I'm in Upper Arlington, so but you've got a lot more probably. You're where the action is a little bit more, but there's I guess a fair amount going on in the suburbs too. But this programming, a lot of it takes place in Clintonville. So Clintonville, I'm sure. Yeah, that's where a lot of the gardening sessions are focused on Clintonville. So
Love it.
yep.
That's great.
I'm in Clintonville. Sorry to
Oh
Oh,
wow.
my
Okay.
lands.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
hi, I'm
Village in
Abby.
the Ville is there. Yeah.
I'm working with Chet. I apologize. I'm not coming off on camera. I have a sick 8-year-old home with me today, but I am listening in, and I'm here to support Chet as well.
Wow, this is
Small
turning
world.
into
Small
this is
world.
turning into an Ohio session right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Yep.
Although I think Heather may be from someplace other than Ohio.
No, I'm from Ohio as well. I'm up
Y-
in Cuyahoga Falls, about 40 minutes, 45 or hour and a half north.
Wow, okay. Yeah, lots of Ohio session connections today.
David, we may
you-
have to start an Ohio chapter of
It's-
neighboring 101. What do you
It
think?
Yeah,
sounds like.
seriously. It sounds like there's enough for it. Absolutely. I'd be in. Sounds good. Yeah, boy.
I see one person I'll call is Eva Anderson still on, or did Eva just go off? Oh, there she is. Yeah, live and in person with
Hello.
video. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Can you
Nice.
hear me okay?
I can. Good to see
Okay.
you after connecting on LinkedIn and all. But tell us what's new in your area and with the work you're doing related to neighbors and neighborhoods. What are
Well, I guess
your
we can't
interest
hide
areas?
today. We got called out. I'm sitting here with two of my neighbors, and we are in
Oh,
North Liberty, Iowa. And yeah, so I've been a neighborhood ambassador. Our city started a neighborhood ambassador program in the winter of 2021, and I jumped on board with that program and got to know we're just a block away, Molly and I, that are sitting here. So we serve as ambassadors in our neighborhood and do block parties and all that good stuff. But my other friend Nancy, that's here with me today, the three of us have been co-leading a Good Neighbor book club. And it's really a passion of ours right now. We're struggling with the name because we've realized it's become more than a book club. We've read 3 titles. Last April, we read I Never Thought of It That Way by Monica Guzman. We took on hard subjects last year. We did that one in April last year. And then this fall, we read A Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. And we are finishing up tonight, actually. Dr. Seth Kaplan will be joining us on Zoom because we just finished reading his book, Fragile Neighborhoods.
yeah. Wow, that's some heavy hitting book club right there. Some
It
good.
is, and it's been super engaging. I mean, I don't know, we've had probably up to 25 participate. Our current session, I think we have 17 that have read through Seth Kaplan's book. But yeah, we're really having amazing conversations. We see it, well, impacting each of us individually, but also just members of the book club that are, well, one, they like having conversation, they're deep thinkers, but we're really seeing things happen, like people that are not joiners, are joining this book club. And because of what we've been learning from your group here, we're going to have a movie night in June and invite the book club to watch Join or Die.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Fantastic. Wow, you guys are go-getters up there. Then this is
Well, do you have other folks from Iowa in your cohort here of Neighboring
pro
101?
probably there's 954 people that
Oh,
are
wow.
registered and part of the network that get the emails and the videos and things. So I don't know if anybody else on live today is from Iowa, but I'm sure in that list there are others, but I'll have to look for you. But can you tell us a little more about this, the Neighborhood Ambassadors program in the city? Remind me again which city you're in. You said it and I've forgotten.
Yeah, North Liberty, Iowa. We're
North
kind of
Liberty.
adjacent to Iowa City. So we're really a university area. The University of Iowa and Iowa City is right next door. Well, it's been an evolving program. In 2020, the summer of 2020, when everything had to be canceled, our city staffers, they do a major event, Blues and Barbecue, it's called. That was canceled the summer of 2020, as was everything else. And so the Neighborhood Ambassador Program was birthed out of a need to see neighbors connect. And so they put out a plea to the city, would you like to volunteer to be a neighborhood ambassador? The map at the time was already established through Nextdoor. Our city of North Liberty took the neighborhoods that were already established with the Nextdoor mapping. And that's how, and some people didn't even know they had a neighborhood name. And so that's, I signed up to be the Quail Creek neighborhood ambassador. They had meetings quarterly for the first few years, and they would get us together to do similar to what you're doing here, talk about neighboring. The program kind of evolved a little bit last year. And so Molly, who's been helping me put on block parties and been part of our neighborhood team, is in the current cohort. And so we actually met with our city staffers this week to just sort of talk about where it's headed, because we see the neighborhood or the Good Neighbor Book Club really partnering with the ambassador program, but they're kind of two separate things at the moment. But there's a number of ambassadors that have done the book club, so we're discussing where it's going, because a lot of time, I don't know, ladies, if you want to chime in, but it feels a little bit more right now like they're training up ambassadors to be ambassadors for the city, representatives to be rather than maybe ambassadors representing your neighborhood. So our particular group is really interested in connecting neighbors on the smaller level, the things that you're talking about, but it can be both, at the moment. Yeah, these are kind of new evolving programs, we could say.
Yeah, that's why it kind of caught my ear, because City of Springfield just announced an ambassador program, but is very much about giving people some training so they can be ambassadors for the city, overall. But I
Yes.
love the idea of this neighborhood ambassador, and similar to block captains. Eric's probably familiar with that, knows some examples of that, and Chet as well. I'm trying to think of what some of the other terminology I've heard used, but in different areas. But that whole neighborhood ambassador program, I love to see how that unfolds. Giving people what kind of happens at those trainings that they do quarterly? Is it educational? Is it a pep rally? Is it a
Yeah.
trust building relationships? What do those look like?
Molly, do you want to share what they looked like this past year, or would you like?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the current class that just graduated, and mostly they were tours of city facilities and city-related organizations. So we visited the police department and the fire department and the water and sewer and things. And
Okay.
I think that because the program is in transition, we didn't get the piece that I was hungry for, which is now how to connect with your neighbors, how to, what other ways can we bring people together? And how can we eventually help identify people who need to be engaged, who don't know that
Mm-hmm.
there's help or people out there because of of course, the loneliness epidemic that is ongoing since COVID.
Yeah.
So we may be picking up kind of that piece, the neighborhood emphasis, as opposed to the city emphasis.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, there's some assessments or ways that a person can go about in their neighborhood, kind of assessing what the needs are. That might be an approach that helps you understand how those connections could be made even further. I don't know, Chet, is this I know you're launching a good neighbor network off the ground. Is this somehow similar or related, do you think? Or what's the crossovers here, maybe?
I love it, that hyper local, block level. They use the word connector and connectorship, right? Yeah, I'm moving into that space, and I actually secured a small capacity building grant to get my dream of a community building organization off the ground. So I've got a bunch of deliverables over the next year to help, strengthen the organization, form an advisory board, get a website developed, and continue to build out, more of the tools and resources that block level connectors could use to organize and bring more other neighbors together on their block. So you're thinking about flyers, thinking about a directory, thinking about like some activities. I worked the election on Tuesday, and we the other poll workers, it was kind of a slow election. We completed some crossword puzzles, and I thought, hey, for neighborhood gatherings, like a neighboring focus crossword puzzle might be an interesting group activity that folks could do. So I'm gonna throw that in the link. It's a Google slide deck, so you can open that up. You can put your own logos in there, kind of white label I'll probably upload this to the community building hub that Eric Smith mentioned earlier as another resource for folks to use. But I'm really excited about that work, really recruiting, training, empowering, and then supporting those block level connectors to bring more folks out of their homes to come together in community. You were
That's a great resource. Thank you.
You're welcome. As we think about planning ahead for the summer, folks might be familiar with National Night Out. I'll put a link in the chat as well. That's always the first Tuesday in August. It's a campaign to foster closer connections between local law enforcement and the community. And if you're looking for programming for later this summer to plan ahead for, that could be a national event that you could put a local spin on. I know here in Columbus, if you're involved with the city or a neighborhood organization, our Department of Neighborhoods has a grant application out right now. I think it's due in about a week for up to $1,000 for organizations to apply for funding to host their own national night out event at a rec center, at a park, or even closing your street and having a little block party. So
yeah,
a
a lot of times law enforcement, even fire departments love to be involved with that.
Yeah,
and
that's
help make it happen.
Great excuse to bring the, if you have horses or a fire truck, that's a great attraction for folks to come out of the house and get to know each other. I know a lot of you might be familiar with the 8 front door challenge. Consider yourself in the middle of a 9 square tic-tac-toe board and challenging yourself to see if you know the names of the people across the street to the left and the right of you, maybe behind the alley. I've wondered, as we're brainstorming ideas here, if this is a concept I had, that think of like a baseball card. If we flip the script, and as individuals who are really inspired and passionate about this work, if there couldn't be a template where we put our own information on a little card that we would then give out to those 8 people around us or other people on the block that we've met, that says, maybe it's got your preferred method of communication, if you prefer a text or a call, or maybe you prefer an email. And you could include maybe some of the different ways that we are willing to support each other. David, you mentioned, more people are willing to water a neighbor's lawn or to secure a package than they think others are willing to. You could put some of those things, on that card, and deliver that maybe with a small plate of cookies for a new neighbor that moves to the block, for example.
Yeah. Could I strike a great baseball player pose too, if this is going to be like a baseball card? I always wanted to be on a baseball card. It never happened for me, but the batter poses from the 50s or something.
I would call that a home run, David.
You had me as soon as you mentioned baseball card like. Eva, can I come back to you and ask you a question? And then I'd love to jump to Heather, because she has a similar experience with an ambassador program, and hear from her just a little bit as we wrap up. Eva, you mentioned the book club. Just out of curiosity, is that mainly women? Do you have some men that are involved in the book club as well?
No, it's a diverse group. Yeah. And
Oh,
I
okay.
neglected to mention that, when I brought it to the neighborhood ambassador head of the city and brought the suggestion, she introduced me to our adult service librarian. And so we've initially started partnering with Nick. And I would say we have, it's more women than men, but we have, like, this current rendition, we have 3 married couples. Nick as the librarian. So it's a mixed group and mixed age. We have some retired folks. we do wish we could bring in a little more diversity, both in age and ethnicity. But no, it's a co-ed group.
Well, different, different things speak to different people. I've heard, women love generally, in general terms, love to connect face to face, where men prefer to do it shoulder to shoulder. And sometimes that lends itself to like an activity or a cleanup project or something that's active together sometimes, or in the case of my neighbors, sitting at a basketball game all day long, at a tournament. Um, and when we come home, my wife says, "What'd you guys talk about?" I'll say, "We watched basketball." We didn't talk. We had a great time. But still, you have a connection from shared experience. But so just wondered about that with the book club and stuff. Have there been some other successful examples you've seen there? And then we'll jump to Heather in terms of
Okay.
getting neighbors together.
Yeah. So, we've tried to help people identify what neighborhood they're in. And interestingly, I mean, why we talk about it as a movement is last week, for example, we asked to close out the night, what is one thing you might do? And as a result of reading these books, and it was unbelievable. I mean, one woman is a single mom, and she says, this has inspired me to have play groups for single moms this summer, and another woman wants to start. She says, I've always dreamed of having a club related to games, things like playing cards and dice games. So you can see different people that are motivated. But I will share one example of one of the gentlemen in our group who self-admitted he doesn't go anywhere. He says, I go to my office and I go to a couple things with my wife and I come here to book club. So, and he's a retired gentleman, works out of his own office. But last December, we learned about Toys for Tots, and they needed a lot of volunteers. So we just threw out the link and said, hey, some of us are volunteering at this time, at this location. Here's the sign up. And sure enough, this man who said he wasn't a joiner joined us and served at Toys for Tots. And came along with a small group of us. And then again this spring, we found out at a neighborhood dinner that we had at a local restaurant here that our local high school was in need of volunteers for their show choir event, massive show choir event, needed hundreds of volunteers. And we threw out that volunteer sign up, and this same gentleman signed up. I mean, he doesn't have any kids in school anymore. His kids are grown adults, and he was taking registration money as people came into that event. So we're seeing like lives changed, I would say.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And we're pretty which is pretty motivating, to keep going.
And it looks like he's looking for ways to build connections and stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks for asking and letting us share.
Wonderful. Heather, can I call on you? You had a fantastic post here in chat and also about an ambassador program in Ohio, of all places. Welcome, Heather. Nice to meet you through Zoom.
Thank you. I do work for the city. The city found me, though, volunteering in the community already. So I had that nice little segue into it. But the city's trying to find a way to bridge both helping ambassadors see what the city has to offer so that they can share with their neighbors about like senior snow programs, assistance in like the housing and, whatever they may need, because a lot of people don't seem to know, what we can really do to help them, but also looking at what each individual neighborhood needs because they're all kind of different in their own way as well. So we've been working on finding that balance. This year we introduced a neighborhood ambassador resource guide, which neighborhood ambassadors can have with them. That way, when they're talking to their neighbors, they have some ideas of, how to approach neighbors, when's the right time, how can you get that conversation off the ground, but also if a neighbor's saying like, I need help with this, they can go through and see if that's something that, the city can help them with that problem and where to go. So that way, you're not calling and getting sent information and running in circles, or people have a more direct access to what they need.
Yeah.
The way we've been doing that one.
And what's the saying? People don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
And sometimes they don't even know the questions to ask because they don't even know what's available. So
yeah.
And do you get the ambassadors together, or do the ambassadors get together and do like a training or something periodically? Or
we meet Once in the spring and once in the fall.
Okay.
And it's usually a mix of training, idea sharing, and updates both on their side and our side. And a lot of times we do it at a newer place or a more lesser known place with who has things that the community can take advantage of in a like a free way of like what resources are out there for them.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what got you involved in neighboring type of work? What spawned your interest in neighbors and neighborhoods?
I grew up in a place where there weren't neighborhoods and I didn't know the people around me. And I am a very social person. So once I actually got neighbors, I was just excited to be around people and volunteering.
Yeah. Well, I see your art of neighboring neighborhood grid there on your file cabinet back behind you. So
yes, we do that all the time with the ambassadors, and it's amazing. You think you know people, and then you start to fill it out, and you're like, ooh, maybe not.
right.
We do have, similar to that card that Chet mentioned, we have a Hello Neighbor card that like people can fill out and like, you know, if you're having these conversations, hand to people and it's easier to communicate than trying to say like, hey, you want my phone number? Or I want your phone number. And we also did one to break the ice a little bit more called Cooking and Connecting with Neighbors, because we decided everybody likes food. So it's a recipe card that you can share that has like a family recipe or a favorite recipe, and also has like your information and like, you know, just a way to kind of break the ice.
Yes. I love that. Well, I hope today has been an encouragement for you, those of you that are able to jump online. I am so sorry about our speaker change. Um, but hopefully this has been encouragement to hear what some others are doing. I think just hearing about more than one city neighborhood ambassador program is a big encouragement. But in the chat, several resources and opportunities linked there, and hopefully this helps you in your work or even your personal life. Thank you for being on live and adding to the conversation and sharing some examples. Um, is there anyone else that wanted to share? I don't want to cut anybody off. We've got about 5 minutes if someone else wanted to share. All right. Well, if not, we do actually have a bonus Neighboring 101 this month. It's next week. It'll be at a different Zoom link, and then we'll return to this Zoom link on the other months. And we'll hear some presentations from groups that are finalists in Neighborhoods USA. One of those is from Springfield, 2 different types of presentations from Waco, Texas, and one that I think is going to be coming from Kansas. I have an email to return today, but it'll give you a little variety of sort of practical ways that, practical types of ways that people are helping connect neighbors and neighborhoods. Hopefully it's a great resource to you. You're always free to reach out to me and to share our class video when it becomes available to you on email later today. We'll do our best to try to reschedule Sam. He's in the process of, you know what, I should, maybe I'll end the record, and it's been great being on live.